Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Bad Kunjabi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dari Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Privjakacharya Astota Shri Shriman Nityalila Pravistas Divine Grace Divine Charan Arvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj ISKCON's BBD Founder Acharya Guru Patita Pavana Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Shri Balarāma Rāsayātrā Purnim Ki Jai Shri Krishna Vashanta Rasa Ki Jai Shri Vamsi Vedanta Thakur Ki Jai Shri Shamananda Prabhu Ki Jai Shri Hanuman Jayanti Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanandi All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanandi. Hare Krishna. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Umlitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapnantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagujatam Sahagana Ragadatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Vidamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bando Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Divyat Vrindaranya Kalpadrumada Srimad Ratnagara Singhasanasto Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Devo Prastalabi Savyamano Smarami Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatrubhischa Kripasnubhyevacha Titanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauramani Pacharane Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskita Deshatarane. Today is a very, very glorious day. It is the full moon day of the month of Chaitra, Chaitra Mas Purnima. Shri Krishna Vashant Rasa. Actually, the Purnima or full moon of Damodar month is the second full moon of the autumn season, and Rasa Leela is again celebrated. This second Rāsayātrā is celebrated more in, more in Vrindavan. Sri Krishna Vashanta Ras is similar to the Saradiya Rasa Purnima, excepting that it is in the spring, Vashant. This time everyone dresses in yellow. On this full moon night, the devotees usually leave out pots of sweet rice prasadam for the Lord to enjoy during the Rasa dance. Whereas, did you hear that, Braj Mohan? So this Vashanta Ras, it's Krishna's springtime Rasa Leela, which is equal in how the devotee should regard as the Saradiya Ras Purnima. And it's saying here, this is on ISKCON Desire Tree. Devotees can leave sweet rice over the night. You gonna do that? Okay. Included in our Vaishnav songbook, this is taken from the prayers of Srila Narottam Das Thakur. From his Parthana, Vashanti Ras, amorous pastimes in the spring. I'll just read the English translation. There's only 3 verses. In the spiritual world is the beautiful place known as Vrindavan, composed entirely of divine touchstones. In that transcendental land are many enchanting temples bedecked with costly jewels, and encircling it are the waters of the river Yamuna, where the royal swans known as Rajahamsa frolic. In the midst of this divine river is a beautiful golden lotus of 100 petals. In the center of that lotus is a golden platform surrounded by 8 petals, and upon those petals are the 8 principal Sakis, headed by Lalita and Vishaka. In the center of the surrounding petals, the divine couple presides, seated upon a jeweled throne. In the company of Lord Shyam sits the beautiful Radhika. The waves of their beauty and sweetness emanate showers of nectar in the form of their talks, which are filled with a flood of laughter and joking as they address each other. Narottam Das says, "May these eternal pastimes, overflowing with transcendental joy, ever be manifest in my heart." What's the problem?
No problem.
No problem, okay. And not as widely known or recognized, this is also, in the opinion of the Acharyas, particularly Jiva Goswami, he's commenting, that this is the actual appearance day of Sri Radha Kund. Chaitra Purnima.
Can we put this thing here, maybe upper, higher?
Upper. So put it right here.
Yeah, clip it on your neck. Your glasses. Put it on the red jacket. Want me to help you?
No. Hare Krishna. Srila Rupa Goswami mentions that one should bathe in Radha Kund on the Kartik Bahulastami, that's the 8th day of the waning moon of the month of Kartik. In Mathura Mahatmya, he cites the Padma Purana, one who bathes in Radha Kund on Bahulastami in Kartik becomes Hari Priya, very dear to Sri Krishna. However, it is only Srila Jiva Goswami who clearly mentions the exact day and time of the most glorious appearance of Sri Radhakund. In Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 45th chapter, 3rd verse, Tika, Srila Jiva Goswami says, Sri Krishna killed Aristasura on Chaitra Purnima, the full moon, March, April, when Krishna was 11 years old. So we look in this chapter 36, actually, of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and okay, just so we can have some fun, let's hear about the killing of the Aristasura demon. Shukadeva Goswami said, the demon Arista then came to the cowherd village. Appearing in the form of a bull with a large hump, he made the earth tremble as he tore it apart with his hooves. According to the Vishnu Purana, Aristasura entered the village at twilight as the Lord prepared to dance with the gopis. So the demons also, they calculate to come at the best time that they think that could cause the most inconvenience and mischief to the devotees. Aristasura bellowed very harshly and pawed the ground. With his tail raised and his eyes glaring, he began to tear up the embankments with the tips of his horns, every now and then passing a little stool and urine. My dear king, clouds hovered about sharp-horned Aristasura's hump, mistaking it for a mountain. And when the cowherd men and ladies caught sight of the demon, they were struck with terror. Indeed, the strident reverberation of his roar so frightened the pregnant cows and women that they lost their fetuses in miscarriages. Wow. The domestic animals fled the pasture in fear, O king, and all the inhabitants rushed to Lord Govinda for shelter, crying, Krishna, Krishna. When the Supreme Lord saw the cowherd community distraught and fleeing in fear, he calmed them, saying, don't be afraid. Then he called out to the bull demon as follows, you fool! What do you think you're doing, you wicked rascal? Frightening the cowherd community and their animals when I am here just to punish corrupt miscreants like you. Having spoken these words, the infallible Lord Hari slapped his arms with his palms, further angering Arista with a loud sound. The Lord then casually threw his mighty serpentine arm around the shoulder of a friend and stood facing the demon. Lord Krishna showed his contempt for the ignorant demon. Thus provoked, Arista pawed the ground with one of his hooves, and then, with the clouds hovering around his upraised tail, furiously charged Krishna. Pointing the tips of his horns straight ahead and glaring menacingly at Lord Krishna from the corners of his bloodshot eyes, Arista rushed toward him at full speed like a thunderbolt hurled by Indra. The Supreme Lord Krishna seized Aristasura by the horns and threw him back 18 steps, just as an elephant might do when fighting a rival elephant. Thus repulsed by the Supreme Lord, the bull demon got up and, breathing hard and sweating all over his body, again charged him in a mindless rage. As Arista attacked, Lord Krishna seized him by the horns and knocked him to the ground with his foot. The Lord then thrashed him as if he were a wet cloth, and finally he yanked out one of the demon's horns and struck him with it until he lay prostrate. Vomiting blood and profusely excreting stool and urine, kicking his legs and rolling his eyes about, Aristasura thus went painfully to the abode of death. The demigods honored Lord Krishna by scattering flowers upon him. Having thus killed the bull demon Arista, he who is a festival for the gopis' eyes entered the cowherd village with Balarāma. This verse exemplifies the sublime contrast of spiritual qualities within Sri Krishna. In one 4-line verse, we simultaneously learn that Lord Sri Krishna killed a powerful and wicked demon, and that his boyish beauty gave festive pleasure to his young girlfriends. Lord Krishna is as hard as a thunderbolt or as soft as a rose, depending on our attitude toward him. The demon Arista wanted to kill Krishna and all his friends, so the Lord beat him into a wet rag and killed him. The gopis, however, loved Krishna, and thus the Lord boyishly reciprocated their conjugal feelings. Someone made like a dual picture with a caption. On top is Krishna embracing Gopakumar, coming back home, back to Godhead, as Sri Sarupa, his beloved cowherd boyfriend. The conclusion of Brihad Bhagavatamrita. And the caption says, with the devotees. Then on the bottom, as we have in Prabhupada's room, the original painting of Lord Nrsingadev ripping the demon Hiranyakashipu to pieces, ripping out his guts and blood all over the place and with the demons. So, which will you choose? After Aristasura had been killed by Krishna, who acts wonderfully, Narada Muni went to speak to King Kamsa, the powerful sage of godly vision, addressed the king as follows. So here, this important purport to the 16th, very important information is included in the purport here to the 16th verse of this 36th chapter. From the Puranas, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has quoted 20 verses describing a joking conversation between Radha and Krishna that took place after Krishna had killed the demon Arista. This conversation, so kindly quoted by the Acharyas, describes the origin of Radha Kund and Shama Kund, Radha and Krishna's bathing ponds. So, this Aristasura is a great demon, but it's like so many other demons, they adopted a disguise. Most notably, or in contrast to actual intentions, was the Putana, who came appearing to be an exquisitely beautiful woman, demonstrating motherly affection, just like Mother Yashoda's associates, who were most qualified, pure devotee personalities, having achieved that position. And so carefully crafted and acted was her dramatic disguise that she was able to sneak her way in and temporarily fool everyone. But Krishna exposed her, and she was forced to reveal who she actually was, physically, mentally, and emotionally, before she was killed by Putin, by Krishna. So they're joking. The innocent young gopis said, "Krishna, don't touch us now, O killer of a bull. Even though Arista was a terrible demon, still he was a male cow. So you have to undergo atonement, just as Lord Indra did after killing Vritasura. How can you purify yourself without going to the trouble of visiting every single holy place in the three worlds?" Krishna replied, "Why do I have to wander throughout the entire universe? I will at once bring all the countless pilgrimage places here and take my bath in them. Just watch." With this, Lord Mukunda struck his heel on the ground. Then he said, "This is the water of the Bhogavati River coming from the Patala region. And now, all holy places, all of you, please come here." When the Supreme Lord had spoken these words, all the holy places went there and appeared before him. Krishna then addressed the gopis as follows: "See all the holy places." But the gopis replied, "We don't see them as you describe." Then those best of holy places, joining their palms in supplication, all spoke up. "I am the salt ocean. I am the ocean of milk. I am the Amara Durgika, rivers Sona, Sindhu, Tamparani, Pushkar, Saraswati, Godavari, Yamuna, Reva rivers, and the confluence of the rivers at Prayag. Just see our waters." After purifying himself by bathing, Lord Hari became quite arrogant and said, "I have produced a pond containing all the various holy places, whereas you gopis must never have executed any religious duties on this earth for the pleasure of Lord Brahma." Then Srimati Radharani addressed her girlfriends as follows: "I must create an even more beautiful pond, so go to work." Having heard these words, the gopis saw that Aristasura's hooves had dug a shallow ditch just west of Sri Krishna's pond. So anyone who has visited Radhakund and Shyamakund and is aware of the geography and directions understand that as the sun is setting, it sets on the side of Radhakund. And when the sun rises in the morning, it rises over Shyamakund. So just west of Shyamakund, they were digging a shallow ditch just west of Sri Krishna's pond. When Radhakund is excavated periodically, I think every 20 years or so for cleaning, this original kund, the square, all the way at the bottom that the gopis dug, becomes visible. I remember personally going down there, I think in 1989. It was very ecstatic. At the nearby spot, all the gopis began digging up lumps of soft mud with their hands, and this way a divine pond manifested in the short span of an hour. Krishna was astonished to see the lake they produced. He said, "Go ahead, lotus-eyed one. You and your companions should fill this pond with water from mine." But Radharani replied, "No, no, no, no. This is impossible, since the water of your pond is contaminated by your terrible sin of killing a cow. I will have my countless gopi companions bring the pure water of the Manasa Ganga here in billions of pots. Who remembers the story of Manasa Ganga? Nanda Maharaj and his associates were planning on going on pilgrimage to the bank of the Ganges. And Krishna, you're leaving Vrindavan to go, what is this? So I will bring the Ganges here, and created the celestial lake, Manasi, from Krishna's mind, Manasi Ganga, which is in the center of Govardhan town and Govardhan Prikram. And as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu demonstrated, the proper place to begin one's Govardhan Parikram is at Sri Hari Dev Mandir on the banks of Manasi Ganga. Lord Krishna then gestured to a heavenly personality who was an intimate associate of all the holy places. Suddenly, that person rose up out of Sri Krishna's pond and bowed down to Srimati Radharani, the daughter of Maharaj Vrishabhanu. Then, with palms joined and tears pouring from his eyes, he began to pray to her in great devotion. O goddess, even Lord Brahma himself, the knower of all scriptures, cannot understand your glories, nor can Lord Shiva or Lakshmi. Only Krishna, the supreme goal of all human endeavor, can understand them. And thus he feels obliged to personally make sure that you can wash away perspiration when you are fatigued. He is always anointing your lotus feet with nectarian charu and yavaka, and decorating them with ankle bells, and he rejoices and feels most fortunate simply by satisfying the tips of the toes of your lotus feet. On his order, we have immediately come here to live in this most excellent pond, which he created by one stroke of his heel. But only if you now feel satisfied with us and bestow upon us your merciful glance will the tree of our desire bear fruit. Hearing this prayer spoken by the representative of the full assembly of all holy places, Sri Radha was pleased and said, "So kindly tell me your desire." They then told her plainly, "Our lives would be successful if we could come to your pond. That is the benediction we desire." Glancing at her beloved, Sri Krishna, from the corners of her eyes, the daughter of Vrishabhanu replied with a smile, "Please come." Her gopi companions all agreed with her decision and became immersed in the ocean of happiness. Indeed, the beauty of all creatures, both mobile and stationary, was enhanced. Thus gaining the grace of Srimati Radharani, the holy rivers and lakes in Sri Radha Kund forcibly broke through its boundary walls and swiftly filled Radha Kund with their waters. So there is a middle walkway between Radhakund and Shamakund, and underneath this walkway, there's like a bridge. You could call the walkway like a bridge. The waters of Radhakund and Shamakund can intermingle. So that is called the Sangam. And those going to Radhakund and Shamakund practices to, there on the Sangam, you can bathe in Radhakund and then Shamakund and then Radhakund again. Lord Hari then said, "My dear Radha, may this pond of yours become even more world-renowned than mine," which it has and is, yes? Radhakund. And Shamakund is, but this is Krishna's desire. May this pond of yours become more world-renowned than mine. I will always come here to bathe and to enjoy my water pastimes. Indeed, this lake is as dear to me as you are. And of course, Srila Rupa Goswami restates and re-emphasizes these facts in his Upadeshamrita. Radha replied, "I will come to bathe in your pond as well, even though you may kill hundreds of Arista demons here." So this was all just a loving transcendental ruse for Radhakund and Shamakund to appear. Radharani and the gopis are not thinking that Krishna has become sinful by killing the Arista demon. They know full well that he's a demon and he adopted the form of the holy cow, holy bull, to do his mischief, to do his premeditated, calculated, murderous rampage, right? Even you may kill hundreds of Arista demons here. In the future, anyone who has intense devotion for this lake, which is on the spot where you chastised Aristasura, and who bathes or resides here, is sure to become very dear to me. That night, this night, tonight, Lord Krishna initiated a rasa dance at Radhakund. So the Saradiya Ras Purnim takes place where? Bamsibat, Maharashtrali, on the eastern side of Vrindavan, where Yamuna curves around. And here, the Vishanta Ras Purnima takes place at Govardhan. Radhakund and Shamakund are the tear-filled eyes of Govardhan Prikram, which is likened unto the shape of a peacock. Initiated a rasa dance at Radhakund, generating a torrent of the greatest mood of splendorous pleasure. Sri Krishna resembles a cloud, and Srimati Radharani a brilliant flash of lightning, filling the sky with abundant beauty. In this way, their divine glories permeated the expanse of the three worlds. And a final note, it should be mentioned that Narada Muni, being a great sage, understood that the killing of Arista more or less concluded the pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan. Therefore, Narada, anxious to facilitate the transfer of Krishna's pastimes to Mathura, and also Kamsa to be killed, finally approached Kamsa and addressed him as follows, and revealed so many facts of the actual situation, which the foolish, bewildered, ignorant Kamsa was not aware of. Oh, come on. Lord Balarāma became very anxious to see his father and mother, Maharaj Nanda and Yashoda. Therefore, he started for Vrindavan on a chariot with great enthusiasm. The inhabitants of Vrindavan had been anxious to see Krishna and Balaram for a very long time. When Lord Balaram returned to Vrindavan, all the cowherd boys and the gopis had grown up, but still, on his arrival, they all embraced him, and Balaram embraced them in reciprocation. After this, he came before Maharaj Nanda and Yashoda and offered his respectful obeisances unto them. In response, Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj offered their blessings unto him. They addressed him as Jagadishvar, or the Lord of the universe who maintains everyone. The reason for this was that both Krishna and Balaram maintain all living entities, and yet Nanda and Yashoda were put into such difficulties on account of their absence. Feeling like this, they embraced Balaram, and seating him on their laps began their perpetual crying, wetting Balaram with their tears. Lord Balaram then offered his respectful obeisances to the elderly cowherd men and accepted the obeisances of the younger cowherd men. Thus, according to their different ages and relationships, Lord Balaram exchanged feelings of friendship with them. He shook hands with those who were his equals in age and friendship, and with loud laughing embraced each one of them. After being received by the cowherd men and boys, the gopis, and King Nanda and Yashoda, Lord Balaram sat down, feeling satisfied, and they all surrounded him. First, Lord Balaram inquired from them about their welfare, and then, not having seen him for such a long time, they began to ask him different questions. The inhabitants of Vrindavan had sacrificed everything for Krishna. Simply being captivated by the lotus eyes of the Lord, because of their great desire to love Krishna, they never desired anything like elevation to the heavenly planets or merging into the effulgence of Brahman to become one with the absolute truth. They were not even interested in enjoying a life of opulence, but were satisfied in living a simple life in the village as cowherd men. They were always absorbed in thoughts of Krishna and did not desire any personal benefits. And they were all so much in love with him that in his absence their voices faltered and they began to inquire from Balarāma ji. First, Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Maya inquired, "My dear Balaram, are our friends like Vasudeva and others in the family doing well? Now you and Krishna are grown-up married men with children. And the happiness of family life, do you sometimes remember your poor father and mother, Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Devi? It is very good news that the most sinful king Kamsa has been killed by you, and that our friends like Vasudeva and the others who had been harassed by him have now been relieved. It is also very good news that both you and Krishna defeated Jarasandha and Kalayavana, who now is dead, and that you are now living in a fortified residence in Dwarka." When the gopis arrived, Lord Balaram glanced over them with loving eyes. Being overjoyed, the gopis who had so long been mortified on account of Krishna's and Balaram's absence, began to ask about the welfare of the two brothers. They specifically asked Balaram whether Krishna was enjoying his life surrounded by the enlightened women of Dwarkapuri. Does he sometimes remember his father Nanda and mother Yashoda and the other friends with whom he so intimately behaved while he was in Vrindavan? Does Krishna have any plans to come here to see his mother Yashoda? And does he remember the gopis who are now pitiably bereft of his company? Krishna might have forgotten us in the midst of all the cultured women of Dwarka, but as far as we are concerned, we are still remembering him by collecting flowers and sewing them into garlands. When he does not come, however, we simply pass our time by crying. If only he would come here and accept these garlands that we have made. Dear Balaram, descendant of Dasara, do you know that we would give up everything for Krishna's friendship? Even in great distress, one cannot give up the connection of family members, But although it might be impossible for others, we gave up our fathers, mothers, sisters, and relatives without caring at all about our renunciation. Then all of a sudden, Krishna renounced us and went away. He broke off our intimate relationship without any serious consideration and left for a foreign country. But he was so clever and cunning that he manufactured very nice words. He said, "My dear gopis, please do not worry. The service that you have rendered me is impossible for me to repay. After all, we are women, so how could we disbelieve him? Now we can understand that his sweet words were simply for cheating us." Another gopi, protesting Krishna's absence from Vrindavan, began to say, "My dear Balarāma, we are of course village girls, so Krishna could cheat us in that way. But what about the women of Dwarka? Don't think they're as foolish as we are. We village women might be misled by Krishna, but the women in the city of Dwarka are very clever and intelligent. Therefore, I would be surprised if such city women could be misled by Krishna and can believe his words." Then another gopi began to speak. "My dear friend," she said, "Krishna is very clever in using words. No one can compete with him in that art. He can manufacture such colorful words and talk so sweetly that the heart of any woman would be misled. Besides that, he has perfected the art of smiling very attractively, and by seeing his smile, women become mad after him and would give themselves to him without any hesitation." Another gopi, after hearing this, said, "My dear friends, what is the use of talking about Krishna? If you are at all interested in passing away time by talking, let us talk on some subject matter other than him. If cruel Krishna can pass his time without us, why can't we pass our time without Krishna? Of course, Krishna is passing his days very happily without us, but the difference is that we cannot pass our days very happily without him." When the gopis were talking in this way, their feelings for Krishna became more and more intensified. And they were experiencing Krishna's smiling, Krishna's words of love, Krishna's attractive features, Krishna's characteristics, and Krishna's embraces. By the force of their ecstatic feelings, it appeared to them that Krishna was personally present and dancing before them. Because of their sweet remembrance of Krishna, they could not check their tears, and they began to cry without consideration. Lord Balarāma could, of course, understand the ecstatic feelings of the gopis, and therefore he wanted to pacify them. He was expert in presenting an appeal, and thus treating the gopis very respectfully. He began to narrate the stories of Krishna so tactfully that the gopis became satisfied. In order to keep the gopis in Vrindavan satisfied, Lord Balarāma stayed there continually for 2 months, namely the months of Chaitra and Vaishakha, April, May. That's next month, Vaishakha, starting today, tomorrow. For those 2 months, he kept himself among the gopis, and he passed every night with them in the forest of Vrindavan in order to satisfy their desire for conjugal love. Thus, Balarāma also enjoyed the rasa dance with the gopis during those 2 months. Since the season was springtime, the breeze on the bank of the Yamuna was blowing very mildly, carrying the aroma of different flowers, especially the flower known as kamudi. Moonlight filled the sky and spread everywhere, and thus the banks of the Yamuna appeared to be very bright and pleasing, and Lord Balarāma enjoyed the company of the gopis there. The demigod known as Varuna sent his daughter Varuni in the form of liquid honey oozing from the hollows of the trees. So on Balarāma's appearance day, which is the full moon of the month of Shravana or Bhadra? Shravana, right? Or is it, no, Bhadra is later, Shravana. First, Shravan. But this Varuni beverage It appeared during this pastime of Lord Balarāma's Rasa dance tonight. Liquid honey oozing from the hollows of the trees. Because of this honey, the whole forest became aromatic, and the sweet aroma of the liquid honey, Varuni, captivated Balarāmaji. Balarāmaji and all the gopis became very much attracted by the taste of Varuni, and all of them drank it together. While drinking this natural beverage, Varuni, all the gopis chanted the glories of Lord Balarāma, and Lord Balarāma felt very happy, as if he had become intoxicated by drinking that Varuni beverage. His eyes rolled in a pleasing attitude. He was decorated with long garlands of forest flowers, and the whole situation appeared to be a great function of happiness because of this transcendental bliss. Lord Balarāma smiled beautifully, and the drops of perspiration decorating his face appeared to be soothing morning dew. While Balarāma was in that happy mood, he desired to enjoy the company of the gopis in the water of the Yamuna. Therefore he called Yamuna to come nearby, but Yamuna, neglecting the order of Balarāmaji, considering him to be intoxicated. Lord Balarāma became very much displeased at Yamuna's neglecting his order. He immediately wanted to scratch the land near the river with his plowshare. Lord Balarāma has two weapons, a plow and a club, and he takes service from them when they are required. This time he wanted to bring the Yamuna by force, and he took the help of his plow. He wanted to punish Yamuna because she did not come in obedience to his order. He addressed Yamuna, "You wretched river, you did not care for my order, now I shall teach you a lesson. You did not come to me voluntarily, now with the help of my plow, I shall force you to come. I shall divide you into hundreds of scattered streams." When Yamuna was threatened like this, she became greatly afraid of the power of Balarāma and immediately came in person, falling at his lotus feet and praying thus: "My dear Balarāma, you are the most powerful personality, and you are pleasing to everyone. Unfortunately, I forgot your glorious, exalted position, but now I have come to my senses, and I remember that you hold all the planetary systems on your head merely by your partial expansion as Sesha. You are the sustainer of the whole universe, my dear supreme personality of Godhead. You are full of six opulences. Because I forgot your omnipotence, I have mistakenly disobeyed your order, and thus I have become a great offender. But, my dear Lord, please know that I am a surrendered soul unto you. You are very much affectionate to your devotees. Please, therefore, excuse my impudence and mistakes. By your causeless mercy, may you now release me." Upon displaying this submissive attitude, Yamuna was forgiven, and when she came nearby, Lord Balarāma wanted to enjoy the pleasure of swimming within her water along with the gopis in the same way an elephant enjoys himself with his many she-elephants. After a long time, when Lord Balarāma had enjoyed to his full satisfaction, he came out of the water, and immediately a goddess of fortune offered him a nice blue garment and a valuable necklace made of gold. After taking bath in the Yamuna, Lord Balarāma, dressed in blue garments and decorated with golden ornaments, looked very attractive to everyone. Lord Balarāma's complexion is white, and when he was properly dressed, he looked exactly like the white elephant of King Indra in the heavenly planets. The river Yamuna still has many small branches due to being scratched by the plowshare of Lord Balarāma, and all these branches of the river Yamuna are still glorifying the company of Lord Balarāma. Lord Balarāma and the gopis enjoyed transcendental pastimes together every night for 2 months, and the time passed away so quickly that all those nights appeared to be only one night. In the presence of Lord Balarāma, all the gopis and inhabitants of Vrindavan became as cheerful as they had been before in the presence of both brothers, Lord Krishna and Lord Balarāma. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport to the chapter of Krishna book, Lord Balarāma Visits Vrindavan. Shyamananda Prabhu. Shyamananda Prabhu was initiated by Hriday Chaitanya and became the Shiksha disciple of Srila Jiva Goswami, along with equally glorious and important Srila Narottam Das Thakur, and Srinivasacharya. Shyamananda Prabhu ultimately, during the time of his service in Vrindavan under the lotus feet of Srila Jiva Goswami, received the mercy directly of Srimati Radharani. He was sweeping the Seva Kunj area, and he found Srimati Radharani's ankle bracelet that she had lost during Rasa Leela. And Lalita Devi personally came to Shyamananda asking for it to be returned. You give it to me and I will return it. And Shyamananda Prabhu, who was known at the time as Dukhi Krishnadas, refused that only if Srimati Radharani comes herself personally will I give it back to her. And ultimately, Srimati Radharani came and agreed. And upon this incredible darshan that he had with Srimati Radharani, and Srimati Radharani was pleased with him, he awarded Dukhi Krishnadas new name, Shyamananda Prabhu, one who gives pleasure to Shyam Sundar. He gave him a particular type of tilak that those in the Shyamanandi line still wear today, and also manifested from her heart, Srimati Radharani's heart, a beloved personal deity to the now newly named Shyamananda, the deity of Shyama Sundar, which is now, or who is now, the original deity, is a small deity, and there's a big deity that came somewhat after, Shyam Sundar, Radha Shyama Sundar Mandir in Seva Kunj, very near to the Radha Damodar temple, where, of course, our Srila Prabhupada resided, preparing Srimad Bhagavatam and preparing himself to come to enact the mission of his spiritual master, to come to New York and begin the Krishna consciousness movement and spread it all over the world and the universe. So that occurrence, actually, the manifestation of the Shyamasundar deity and Srimati Radharani's mercy upon Shyamananda Prabhu is commemorated on the Vashant Panchami day. And if you go to the Radha Shyamasundar temple there in Seva Kunj Vrindavan on that day, you will be able to take part in a very grand, glorious, and amazing festival, appearance day of Shyamasundar. Also, Bamsi Badan Das Thakur, a great associate of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. Let's see here. You can, ISKCON Desire Tree, you can look up, and elaborate stories, information of Shyamananda Prabhu, and here is Bamsi Badan Thakur. Now, Vamsivandan Thakur was a poet and composer of songs. He composed one song about the Lord's acceptance and sannyas based on the lamentations of Sachimata and Vishnu Priya. This is the point. After the disappearance of Vishnu Priya Devi, so Lord Chaitanya, understanding how she would have to bear his separation from the age of 16 for the rest of her life, gave her a deity of himself to worship, to help mitigate her feelings of separation. And that deity, of course, is Dharmeshwar Mahaprabhu, which is situated in the center of Navadvip city. After Vishnupriya's disappearance, Vamsivardhan brought this deity Mahaprabhu from Mayapur to Kaliya. The deity of Mahaprabhu is very beautiful and is still being worshipped in the present town of Navadvip. The name of the temple and deity is Dharmeshwar. It is said that the name of Vamsivardhan is carved into the underneath of the base of the deity. So this is a very glorious and wonderful day. And here we're at the feet of Sri Sri Radha Govinda in Srila Prabhupada's temple. And what a perfect and wonderful opportunity to render service here on this glorious day where Sri Sri Radha Govinda's most amazing and powerful devotee, Srila Prabhupada, launched the entire Krishna consciousness movement. So let us experience the profundity and sweetness of this wonderful opportunity by rendering devotional service on this day. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
ISKCON NYC Prabhu ki jai.